Raining again in Alaska. Man, I'm never going to get anything done at this pace. That's not true. Sometimes I work in the rain, sometimes I don't. Today I have an indoor project, but I got to run to town and pick up a couple of things for it, and then I'll get started on it. I'm Sean in Alaska. Hope you guys are having a great day. Just got off of work, got on Facebook Marketplace last night, and saw a heck of a deal on flooring for the cabin, and just went and took a look at it, bought it. So the entire floor for the cabin plus a bunch of extra flooring pieces when I'm done. $200, done. Super excited about that. I gotta get a tarp on it though because it's gonna be raining on the way home. And luckily I've dodged most of the rain so far, but I had to stop off and grab a cup of coffee. Okay, so I just got home, had it all tarped up, and I'm getting ready to unload it now. But let me show you what it looks like. It's beautiful, and it is used. It was in somebody's house for about a year, and they decided they were going to redo their house, and didn't like this with what they were redoing it with. But I'm super excited because it's beautiful stuff. Look at that, huh? Hickory. There's enough here to do 450 square feet, and these are all full pieces down here on the bottom, and there's a bunch of cut pieces, which I'm going to need cut pieces anyway. So you figure that the entire dimension of the cabin is 20 by 24, but internally it's actually like 19 by 23. So it's more than enough to do the whole cabin if I wanted to, but I'm going to do something different in the kitchen, and I'm going to do something different in the bathroom. So this will be perfect for everything that I need. This is going to work out fantastic. I'm super, super excited about this. Let me get this unloaded now. So I love Facebook Marketplace because it seems like if you're willing to wait long enough and you're looking for something, eventually it'll become available on Marketplace. And that's kind of what I did. I was waiting for something specific to pop up, and it did, and I got it. So since it's raining outside, and I really can't do anything out there, I mean I can, but it's just a bugger and it's nasty to work in the rain, thought I would start on the next project. And the next project is a floor for the cabin. And here's what the wood looks like that I got on Marketplace. So I have a few decisions I have to make right off the bat, and the first decision is how far am I going to go with the floor this way. I'm probably going to go with a vinyl floor in the kitchen and the bathroom because of the water, and I just think it would be much smarter to have a different surface in there. Not only that, but I want something quite a bit lighter that'll brighten up both of those rooms when you're in there using them. So I needed to make a decision on how far I'm going to go this way before I transition into that. So let me spin the camera around. I'll show you what my plan is here. I'm going to go, I want all of the kitchen appliances to be on the kitchen floor. So I'm going to take it roughly 15 feet, which will bring me, if I can find my tape measure now, here we go. Get up there. 11, 12, 13, I'm sorry, 14 feet. 14 feet will give me about an inch off of this stove. And I'm going to run it 14 feet until I get to this wall over here. When I get to this wall over here, I'm going to go ahead and run it all the way to the wall so that it will transition in the middle of the doorway in the bathroom. But I'm probably going to have enough of that material to be able to go all the way through the pantry as well. So I'll go ahead and I'll use that same wood in the pantry. So that was the first decision. The second decision I have to make is the wood stove. where's it going to sit? And I'll talk you through what my thought process was on that. Because we all know that Sean has a million thoughts about something before he does it. And the first 999,999, they don't work. Okay, so the most optimal, beautiful place for this wood stove would be like right in the middle of the cabin, right? But the problem is that where I'm at with my decision process, my decision tree on this wood stove, is that I am going to go out the wall and up so that I don't have to cut the roof, because we all know I don't want to deal with that roof. Right? It's amazing that I put it on there, because I'm telling you right now, it makes me nervous every time I go up there. I still haven't got the ridge caps installed yet, because we've just had rain after rain after rain, and I'm not going up there when it's wet. If I run it through these, if I carry this all the way up to the top, what you'll find at the very top of this in the center is the ridge beam. So if I cut through the center of this and then run it out, I'm going to have to throw some cripples in here. I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of work that just doesn't need to be done, right? Just doesn't need to be completed and done. So my thought process is now that rather than move it over towards the door, I'm going to move it over towards the window, right? And I'm going to get it in between these two studs right here. Because the kit to go out will fit simply through that, the on-center, 16-inch on-center stud pattern that I have right here. So I'm going to move it over to there. I'm going to go through there, which means that the shorter of the two benches that I built is probably not going to make it back over to here again. I might be able to kick it off the other way. But that's okay, because they're movable anyway, and I had no intention of leaving them there all winter. The other thing I like about that idea is that when I open the door here, it gives me a place to drop a pan where I can throw wet, snowy shoes and stuff right here next to the wood stove when I come in. So I'm not tracking all this stuff all over the floor. So I have to also decide how far out this is going to set, because I have to skip that when I'm laying the floor down. To be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to get that far today. And this is going to be an ongoing project. I'm probably not going to finish it all in this video, because putting flooring down is super nice for me to do, because I can do it every evening when I'm in here and I've got, I got a half an hour. I could just put some flooring down. It's super, super simple. It'll require some cuts, but it's all the snap together stuff. So wood stove's going to move over so that the exit for this pipe is going right out between the two of those. I'll go ahead and I'll scoot that over in place. I'll get the rest of this swept up on this side, and I'll start working my way across the floor. We're going to go 14 feet that way, from this wall to that wall. I've watched a million videos on how to do it. Every single one of them seems to be pretty much the same. I'm pretty comfortable with what I got going on here, so I'm going to get started with it as soon as I get the rest of this swept up. I got to cut that plastic off the floor too. So I know I'm going to get questions about my methodology for doing this. I watched a ton of videos, like I always do before I do anything, to try and get an idea how to put it together, because I'm a visual guy. I can read stuff and learn how to do it. I can watch stuff and learn how to do it, or I can do stuff and learn how to do it. In the case of the floor, I did a little bit of both. I did some reading, I did some watching, and I'm getting ready to do some doing. I'm not putting vapor barrier on this underneath the floor, an underlayment. The reason why is because this flooring has it on the back of it already. All right, it's got a vapor barrier pad on the back of it already. So when I bought this flooring, I got it from an 80-year-old guy named Joe, super nice guy. And he goes, I installed floors for years. And I said, this actually all came out of his daughter's kitchen. And I said, okay, so to put this on, basically it all snaps together. So I just have to clean the floor really well, lay down my vapor barrier, and then I could go right on the top with it. And he goes, you don't need vapor barrier. You don't need anything on the floor, any underlayment, because it's built into the boards. I looked that up a couple of different ways, and the consensus is that you should use vapor barrier, but I'm not going to bother with it, because a lot of what I saw with that consensus was going through and leveling out your floor. The vapor barrier helps if you've got divots or dips or something's in your floor that you can't really get out. It'll save you a lot of hassles. It'll save the moisture from coming up, and I've got a solution for that as well. And honestly, I just don't think I need it. I was at the orange store today picking up the last of the stuff that I needed to do this, which was basically a little tool set I've got sitting over on the couch over here. And I looked at the vapor barrier and I said, or I looked at the padding, whatever you want to call it, because I don't really need vapor barrier. And I said, you know what? I don't need that. I think I can do it without it. If I'm wrong, we'll easily find out. We'll surely find out. And I will definitely show you guys that I made a mistake, and then I'll be pulling floor up and putting new floor down again. But I think I'm good to go here. What I am going to do though is I'm going to take a level. I'm going to run it across the floor. I'm going to look for any big variances. I don't think that's going to be a big issue. It's not going to stop me from doing what I got to do today. And I'm just going to start working my way across here once I get everything all swept up. I'm pretty excited about it. This is hickory, and it's absolutely beautiful. While I had intended on putting actual boards in here, when I calculated out what it was going to cost me to build a floor out of wood, it was going to be a great deal more expensive than what I paid for this stuff. So I have 300 square feet worth of full pieces. And then I have another 150 square feet full of cut pieces, shortened pieces. So I can take all my cuts out of that. Basically, we're looking at 450 square feet worth of material. I got it all for $200. I can't complain. That was, I mean, I didn't bat an eye. Once when I showed up to look at it, I had the 200 in my pocket, and I just reached in my pocket and handed it to him. I went, this is perfect. So I'm not looking for any problems. I'm looking for this to be really, really awesome. But like I said, it's going to be a probably you'll see a little bit of it in the next videos going forward, mainly because, you know, I've never done it before, and I'm just going to start working my way across the floor, and I can do it every day after I get home from work. So finish sweeping up the floor and get started on the rest of it. I really like it though. It's super pretty. I'm just checking for level, seeing if there's any dips or valleys. Like I told you before, I didn't really see any that were very noticeable, and I thought it would be a good idea to check it just because of the abuse this thing went through in the last year. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go back and see where I was building this floor first, the subfloor, and there was nothing I could do. I couldn't. This was last summer, and it was just as wet as this summer, and I just couldn't keep the rain off of it. I had a tarp on here. I kept it pretty dry for most of the season, but then, you know, as the walls got up, it got harder and harder to keep something over the top of this. So I'm just checking now to make sure I don't have really big variances in my floor, and I'm not seeing anything that's over, between an 1/8 and a 1/16. So I'm pretty comfortable as far as that goes. The other thing I'm going to do that's a little bit different is I'm on the first 5 rows here. I'm not going to put spacers against the wall. I'm going to kind of build those out free, but I'll have spacers against this wall over here so that I keep everything lined up exactly where it's supposed to be. And the reason why is because it'll be a lot easier then to move it back against the wall after I get about the 5th row done, and then I'm going to pull a measurement over and get an idea of where I'm going to end on the other side so that I don't end up with a real tiny strip on the other side. So I can kind of decide how far off the offset has to be, the gap I have to leave on this side is, if it'll make a difference over on that side, or if I need to maybe add another row onto this side, but just a partial piece, a small piece going all the way up so that I have enough room to do on the other side. That was something that Todd actually mentioned today. So I think I can grab some boards and start doing some snapping. So we shall see how this works out. So I'm not usually a one-use tool guy. I don't really want to buy a tool if I'm only going to be using it for one project. But I don't have a rubber mallet, and I don't have the tools that are required to install this properly. And while Todd said he'd be more than happy to loan me what he needs, I don't know how long it's going to take me to do this. And here's why I don't like borrowing tools. Because I never have a timeline for beginning or end of project. I started, I get to things as I can. Sometimes I whip right through them. Other times it could be like this roof. It could be, 6 months before I get everything finished. And if I'm borrowing your tool when I do that, I feel really bad that I have it for so long. The one exception is the scaffolding that I have out here I've had since last year, and I borrowed that from Tom. Tom's a great guy, and you know, he said, hey, don't worry about it. Whenever you're done with it, he goes, I'm not using the stupid stuff. He goes, but if somebody needs it, I'll give you a shout. I go, perfect, just let me know. But because of that, I went ahead and I bought this kit, right? And this is, and I'm not a sponsor for the Orange Store or this company, but it's LifeProof Flooring Installation Kit. It's 33 pieces. It's got the shims that you need. There's 4 different sizes on here that you can flip, and there's 30 of them. And like I said, it's only going to be a couple of shims on this wall. Everything else will be on this wall. And I can move them down as I need them. It came with those. It came with a rubber mallet, which is awesome because I don't have a rubber mallet. So a 2-headed rubber mallet. And then it comes with 2 other tools that you need once you get everything together on these floors. And I'm not going to, I'll need them on the first row, but I'll only need this one on the first row. I'll need this one every row forward along with this one. So this is just a block that rests on here that you tap for vinyl tile and plank. Okay, that's that one. And this is for regular, all other click 4s. You tap on this one to secure the seam in the middle here between this board and the next board, right? So you'll be doing that on every single board going this way. And then this one is, you'll be putting that on the end when you have your, when you pop this one into place down here, and hitting this part with the hammer and driving this forward so that it interlocks nice and tight down here on this end. And that will happen on every end piece as I pop them in, just to get everything nice and secure. So with that said, enough chit chat. I think I'm gonna try and place a couple of boards, but I want to look at them too and see what kind of pattern I'm looking at, so that I don't end up with all, I mean, they're pretty random anyway, so I'll be pretty happy with the random colors, with the random patterns that I have here. Couple of other things. The piece against the wall, you're supposed to trim this tongue off of there, all right? I'm not going to bother with that for a couple of reasons. One, I don't have the, I don't want to fire up a skill saw and fire up the generator and all that stuff while I do this. That's the first reason. And number 2 is if I'm going, you know, 3/8 to a 1/4 of an inch away from that wall right there, and I still have the material I'm going to put on the wall and then the trim I'm going to put over it, it's not going to make any difference. So it'll be a lot easier. I don't trust myself with a skill saw enough to cut that tongue off of there, and I don't have a table saw. The tongue on the bottom, I will have to cut off if I've got them down here. But looking right now, like I said, this came out of somebody's kitchen. Somebody already cut the tongue. Well, nobody cut the tongue out of that one yet. I'm going to go through that stack real quick and see if I can't find a full piece that somebody already cut the tongue out of. And then if that's the case, I won't have to worry about that at all. Everything I watched too said that you want the tongue away from you so that each piece goes in and locks down consecutively as you're going. So let me see if I can find that other piece, and then I'll get this thing started. Okay, we have a pause here because I'm fighting myself doing this the wrong way. I'm gonna start on that wall and work my way towards this wall, and there's a reason why I want to do it that way. So if you look at this piece, right, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to slip this under this piece. So I'm working right to left, and I should be working left to right, because it's a whole lot easier to put this piece on here, get in there, and snap it in place than it is to slide the piece under. And what I'm doing is I'm messing up the clip underneath here, trying to tap these into place. So if I'm working on it this way, what I'm trying to do is slip it under here. If I'm working on it left to right, I just have to flip this piece underneath and pop it in. And it's a whole lot easier, right, because it's over the top of this one. It's a whole lot easier to put that piece in there and get it nice and tight than it is to try and slip the piece under over there, right? Because at that point, I get a nice tight seam in there, in the middle. I need to sweep the floor anyway, so it's not a big deal to move everything back over this side. But I think I'm going to move everything back over to here, and then I'll have to move the stacks of wood that I have over there over to this side. Just makes a lot more sense, and I don't want to keep trying to fight this the way I am, because I'm messing up some of these pieces that they're basically going to end up having to be cut pieces when they're done. That's all there is to it, and I don't want to ruin any more pieces than I have to. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so this is cleaned up, and my place is going to be a mess now until I get this floor done. I'm going to put the ladder back because there is no way in Sam's green earth that I'm going to get, to the point of that ladder today. I just can't see that happening. But it should be a little bit easier, and this way I'll be able to work all the way to the wall as well. So I'll be working from this wall to that wall, halfway into the door for the bathroom. And then the same thing, actually in the pantry, I'll let it run wild because, like I said, I'm going to have some extra stuff left. I'll just go ahead and do the floor in there with this as well. And then I'll just keep working my way across here. But super happy with this ladder and how this connecting system worked. Let's see if I can get it back on pretty easy. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And those metal brackets are for nothing more than to stop this staircase in the event of Sean slipping and grabbing from flipping back. So, cool. All right, well, I guess I'll try my hand at this side. nice. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 courses done, and the next one is going to have to go halfway into the door, and I'm not really feeling like making that measurement right now. So I am going to call it an evening on this and kind of move some stuff around, so maybe I can cook dinner and get something to eat. But I'm liking how this is going down. There's some dirty pieces, but they'll clean up nice. I think the biggest issue I'm having right now is making sure that the pieces that I get are in pretty good shape, because you know, when you take this stuff apart, if you're not really gentle with it, you can damage those end pieces. But so far so good. I like the way it looks. It's going to be a nice floor when it's finished.